welcome to another episode of Hope Grown. Today we are joined by the lovely Miss Kim Hudson, Kiara and I, here at New Hope Treatment Centers in Rock Hill. Miss Kim, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This is a long-awaited, obviously you've done plenty of media in the past. Your face and your voice have been all over the airwaves locally here, in the Charlotte region. This is the first time I think you're doing something with us. Certainly, I don't think I've done any spotlights with you before. So you've contributed, sending me videos. But yeah, this Hope Grown series is now our fourth episode. Yep. First one with a staff member as well. So we're excited.
Well, I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Yes, thank you so much for joining us, Miss Kim. So if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey with New Hope, and I would love to know if there were any experiences that kind of placed you in this path in the mental health treatment residential setting.
Okay, sure. So I came to New Hope at the end of 2019, but was hired in 2020. And I started out as a residential director. I had previous experience working with youth over probably 30 years at that time, working with youth in some capacity, but started as a residential counselor, moved into a TL role. Then at that time we had clinical counselors. So I was a clinical counselor, moved to supervisor, and now residential director.
That's amazing.
So I have done all positions in the residential side and now on admin here at New Hope. But I'm thankful for the opportunity because it's helped me to really understand the vision of what New Hope has for the youth they service. And if I had to think of a particular thing that made me interested maybe in mental health, was I've always been curious. I've always been a people-oriented person. So I always kind of wanted to know what made people tick. But the fact that I raised 3 boys, you know, and then I did things like daycare, after school programs and things like that. And I always just wanted to, just a genuine interest in the well-being of youth really made me want to be involved in the mental health aspect of things.
Gotcha. It's amazing. And this is like where you're meant to be because you just make all of us feel at home. So I'm so glad that you found this path.
Well, thank you.
It's the perfect one for you. Thank you.
Ms. Kim, what do you find most rewarding about the work that you do here at New Hope, and just in general, coming here every day, interacting with the kids, the staff? What is the most fulfilling part, or maybe multiple things about working here?
What I find most rewarding is the fact that that I get to engage and interact not just with residents but with staff. But the thing is that if staff could understand, but what makes it more important for me is that we have the capacity, we have the ability to provide comfort. We have the ability to help change or shape a youth's perspective so that they can feel better about themselves, or to change their future outcomes, or to help make it better. So mainly it's just the interaction piece, the building the relationship, and now the part that we're incorporating the compassion, able to really show compassion in the workplace where it's encouraged, really makes a difference for me.
Absolutely. So, since you work directly with staff on the floors, what does a day in the life in your role look like?
So I'm not on the communities all the time as much, actually on the floor with the residents, but I have an open door policy. I make the staff feel welcome, but it's just making sure that they are, taking care of staff's mental health.
Right.
So that,
100%.
They can help take care of the youth's mental health, but it's just making sure that I am available to help them with the daily things like hygiene, recreational therapy, classroom, the programming piece from second shift where they get to interact socially with each other. Right. So it's just helping to direct the staff and helping them lead from their level as far as supervising or running the shifts as far as, the next step in everyday life with the residents.
Gotcha. Would you say that there's a specific challenge that you hear often from staff who are on the floors, on the communities?
Sometimes they get really frustrated, and people don't realize maybe with mental health the toll that it may take on a staff member, because sometimes when you're with a resident or youth, on a day-to-day basis, then sometimes you may take on some of their trauma, or you may feel like you have to do something. And, we want to engage with them. We want to give them coping strategies and things like that. But we just, want to make sure that we're trying to teach them how to self-regulate, how to have coping skills that can help them be better, when they leave from this place. We want to give them new hope every day.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, I think that the hardest thing that I've heard staff say is sometimes, well, we just want to make sure that everybody, they're thinking about us like they're thinking about the residents.
Right.
And that is the culture that has changed here in New Hope.
Yes.
I've been here 6 years, so the company is concerned about how staff is feeling, moving into the LKM meditations and things that we do. But
Right.
that's the thing that I hear sometimes is they just get kind of tired maybe of seeing the same thing every day. So just helping them manage their own mental health.
Right. Awesome. Thank you,
Yeah.
Ms. Kim. Yeah, the burnout, especially in the mental health industry, when you're in a treatment setting, is high for this. Yeah. So thank you.
Ms. Kim, this work could certainly be challenging. No 2 days are the same. No one day is the same.
Right.
Either there are unexpected hurdles, every hour seemingly. For you, what keeps you motivated? And really, for anyone watching this, whether it's people that work in this field elsewhere, or even colleagues of yours, maybe those that just joined us, and we have orientations, throughout this week. Any new staff that might be watching this, who need something to keep them going throughout the hard days. What keeps you going and what keeps you motivated?
What keeps me going and motivated is that I do see the change. I see the change in residents recovering to become better, their best selves, or to see them being better than when they came in before, and to see a change in some staff's mindset that they have, where they learn new things and they can say, well, I took this home, or I'm doing this with my children, or something like that. But just to see the recovery process in the youth that are here, but just to see the mindset that's changing in some of the staff. But for me, again, it keeps me coming because I know that I feel like I have a responsibility at this point, to make sure that I am able to provide care for the staff and the residents here.
So one thing that I realized, having been a part of the residential treatment setting as an adolescent, is when you leave here, people don't understand what you've been through. So what's one thing that really stands out to you that the general public doesn't understand about what the adolescents go through, the residents go through here in New Hope?
I think they just don't understand what it is. Some people look at us and think, I'm just, I hope it's socially appropriate to say to them and think, well, those kids are crazy, or those kids are bad, or
Right.
they think it's, something that they did, to put them here, or that they want to be here.
Right.
So what they need to understand is that this is, where they live, and here they're to get treatment. And mental health is so much more than sometimes what you can see.
Absolutely.
Mental health is really
Absolutely.
ongoing, and so we're here just to teach them how to cope with different things in life and their past traumas that they have, because the kids here have a history of trauma and abuse. So I just don't think they understand the full scope of what brings a resident to this facility.
Right.
And what we actually do here. It's just not like, we're just here, this is where the bad kids go. We're actually providing treatment with with a culture that is changing to make sure that we're compassionate, while we're doing it.
100%. Can you share a moment that really kind of showed you that there is hope in treatment? From a past resident or a graduate, or
Oh yeah, I have
through the
so
program?
many moments.
I know you do.
I just because for me, it's just a connection. Like this is just what I do and who I am. But just the connection from seeing a person who comes in who does not want to talk at all, who totally may not have, didn't have any social skills, or wasn't reading. Like I used a person we had on leave. They weren't reading. They didn't know how to do hygiene, but that became something that they were proud of.
Right.
Or just having responsibility. Just because they're here don't mean they can't learn life skills. Like we're teaching them how to do hygiene. We're teaching them how to do daily life skills, like just something as simple as sweeping the floor or making up their bed. Or just their personal care in themselves, or just the friendships that they make, with other residents, or just how they find connection with the staff that are here. So just seeing the change in them being closed off in a shell, or someone being aggressive to not being so aggressive by the time they leave here. That they have found replacement behaviors. So just seeing the change and the progression in a resident is just always just awesome for me.
I agree, and the milestones are different when you're inside of New Hope as a resident, because what someone would say, oh, it's easy to know how to take care of yourself, that doesn't always, that's not always what we come in with. So being able to be applauded for those victories that might seem small to other people from the outside looking in, it's amazing to receive from staff. Yeah, I definitely, when I was a resident here, being able to make connections with other people, my peers, was a big thing because my peers at home didn't get what I was going through. So there's really, the judgment is different in here. It's like, okay, we get your trauma and we're not going to hold that against you. So that really stuck out.
And we do want to just, I just want to add that we do teach, to have healthy connections because, sometimes they weren't, some behaviors are learned. And sometimes they weren't, taught appropriate boundaries. So we can't tear everything away from a resident if that's what they learn, but we're showing them a different way that you can have boundaries, healthy boundaries. It's okay to, say this is too much for me, or I need to stop doing this. And we want staff to listen and hear that. But it's just teaching them ways to cope outside of here, no matter where they go.
And that it's okay to have boundaries because some of us just aren't taught that boundaries are okay. You have to,
Yeah.
So.
Oppositional, defiant, documented repeatedly.
Failure to progress, violent tendencies. Let go! Not safe for community placement. Eyes up, Isaiah.
They don't know me, but they think they do.
I'm so sorry.
I can't help it. I piss people off. Then it's oppositional, defiant. Maybe I am. Or maybe I just don't know how to feel safe.
Okay, well, I'm going to roll into this next one. What makes the staff here different than other places?
What makes the staff here different is, I think it is just the level of involvement and engagement that they are asked to have, but the ones who really get it and who are here and show up to be here, they understand that these kids do have trauma and abuse and that we're not trying to, like you say, judge them, but it makes them different because they operate in compassion. They understand about being engaged and they understand that we're just helping them get to the next level. So just the understanding of being trauma informed.
Right.
That's the thing, understanding what trauma is, being able to identify, whether a resident is agitated, being aggressive, or they just have anxiety, being able to know those key differences and to provide individualized treatment because everyone is not the same.
Right.
So that is the difference in the staff that are here at New Hope.
Awesome.
Specifically, the engagement piece of it, I see it on the Hub daily almost. And for those watching who don't know what the Hub is, it's our, all-encapsulating social media, one-stop shop for all staff. The daily activities that you guys do and hold for the LEAP community, and forgive me, I don't think I said this at the top. Ms. Kim's our executive director of LEAP, which is our Learning Enriched Autism Program. The activities that you guys hold, is that strategic? I mean, how vital is that? On a day-to-day, and specifically for our LEAP community, since it's a little bit different from some of the other communities here.
And that's the thing that I've seen change, Patrick, since I've been here, is that things are becoming more strategic. Not forced, not fake, not artificial, but being more strategic to really cater to the needs of the residents that are on each community. But for LEAP, we look at it, we may have some residents who have a hard time with losing, certain things or certain activities. So we're very careful to say, okay, maybe with relay races, if somebody loses or wins, we take all that in consideration because we try to do activities that everyone can be a part of. Someone may be better at cutting out. It seems simple with scissors, but some residents can't. So we try to look at all those things. So we are very strategic in the activities that we plan, but we want them to have free play and be themselves. We have a resident on LEAP now who is embroidering. Like, he was really cool, and that's something he would have never done.
Yeah.
He did it at home, but at first he was like, I would have been embarrassed to do it. Now he's asking for an embroidery kit. That's, and I was like, can you teach me how to do that? But we are strategic in looking at the skill sets, the interests of the residents to make sure that they feel they feel like winners.
Right.
In whatever they do. If it's just simply cutting out a picture, that's great. That's a big accomplishment for you. That's something that you weren't doing before. So that's what we encourage, to make sure they are choosing activities that everyone can feel a part of.
Well, absolutely. And I think sometimes we put limitations on people just subconsciously. And one thing I love about New Hope is we kind of take the roof off the house, and it's like, look, have you tried this? Have you looked into this? And
Absolutely.
like everything's a possibility. So.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Everything's a possibility.
Yes.
You might see that again, Kiara.
That's all right. Use it. Okay, so you've answered this in your previous answers, but could you tell me, how has your perspective on mental health and recovery shifted in this role?
It has definitely changed in this role, because I really get to see the bigger picture. I really get to see the work that goes on behind the scenes to provide for the residents that are here. It is just not like people are coming to work and people are in the office and saying, okay, we're just gonna put the kids here, we're gonna do that. It's a lot of care and attention that goes into the residents that come here, and us really trying to make sure that we are providing the services they need. It's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. And so it's changed my perspective to know that this is not just a place where kids who have behavior problems go. It's a reason behind these behavior problems.
Absolutely.
And that this is a critical stage in their lives that, for their brain function and different things like that, and if we can get involved with it now, it could literally change their future lives.
Absolutely. And it does.
And it does.
Yes.
Well, it does, yeah. So it just helps me to know that that what we do is really important work.
Yeah.
And that we really have to be all in to really make sure we're putting our best foot forward for the residents. So it's changed me in that the recovery process, like I said, is ongoing.
Yeah.
Recovery is ongoing. So mental health is something we should be doing every day, like brushing our teeth. We should be doing something to take care of our mental health.
Right. I agree. And that kind of rolls me into my next question. If there's something you could tell yourself, because you've been here for 6 years and you've moved up the ladder, so is there something you wish you could have told 1 year in, Kim, who had not been in leadership yet? Is there one thing you would tell yourself as a staff member?
Be open-minded. Whatever you believed or thought, throw that out the window. You look at the children. Each incident, each day is different. Like Patrick said, each minute of every day could be different.
Absolutely.
But be open-minded and be willing to grow and willing to change. Open to different opportunities. Like you say, everything is a possibility. So we have to believe that it can happen.
Absolutely.
Not saying, well, this is why it can't, but believing that it can happen.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Patrick, is there anything you would like to add?
I did have one specific question, in relation to the leap itself, and I'm going to use this opportunity for me to maybe splice in some photos of Leap and maybe some of the video we did. So a little added levity to this video. But the expansion of Leap, what was it completed within earlier in this year? So it's been less than a year,
like,
right?
Yeah, just
I think
like January.
It's still relatively new.
It's still relatively new.
Yes.
How much has that meant to that side and the kids over there and the staff as well? Just in forms of what the opportunities that were presented to you with that expansion.
That's a good question, because I just had a conversation with my staff. It really stretched all of us. Even though we knew that for months ahead of time, this is coming. We're going to have 20 residents. So we're going to be prepared. We were just thinking about the brand newness of the environment, but it stretched our staff to realize that, we went from 11, because when I first got here it was only 5, so now we're at 20.
That's
That's
right.
huge.
Yes,
That's
it
huge for
is.
New Hope.
It is.
But it just stretched them into understanding that, we still have a lot more to learn. That every resident is different. Now we have, so with the residents being together, we have more. So now you may have more peer conflict. Right. So it's stretching them and their, staying on top of, their training or their de-escalation skills. So it's made us, be more aware of what we're doing.
Absolutely.
We have to really just, stay focused on the goal here, but it's given a lot of visibility to the residents over there. It's just brought a lot of awareness to autism, and it just, we just feel lucky. Yes. I just feel lucky to be a part of the LEAP program.
Oh, you're giving me chills.
Yeah. Because I am LEAP.
Yes. Yes.
But I just feel lucky, and I have transformations too, so I don't want them to think I'm not shouting them out. I have a girls unit because I love my girls too.
I know you do. But
that's a huge thing for LEAP. It's just really stretched all of us to really just continue to be the best version of ourselves that we can be, so that we can give the best treatment to the residents that are here.
Absolutely. And for our viewers who don't know the population on LEAP, could you share that?
So the population is, it's our Learning Enriched Autism Program. So they have an ASD as their primary diagnosis. And so they're ages 12 to 21. We don't have a 21-year-old there. We have two 18-year-olds. So that is our population that we have on LEAP. You have some who, may not communicate as much when they first get here. So we don't have any that are just totally nonverbal. But then we see the progression in them communicating, verbalizing themselves, nonverbally or verbally, but just being able to be more social. Because sometimes with that population, they, don't always want to be in a social environment.
Sure.
So we're just teaching them how to, be in a social environment, because we tell them, having autism does not make you, something wrong. It just makes you different. It makes you awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so we just want them to be, secure in themselves and knowing that it's okay to be who you are. And we teach them that all feelings are okay, but not all behavior is okay.
That's right.
So that's what we
right.
just communicate to them.
Yes, and when I had the pleasure of doing an activity of building the wooden planes and painting them and decorating the planes with the LEAP boys, it was just amazing, because when the group came in, everyone was quiet. Like, who's this person in here? And then by the end, we were chatting, we were listening to music. For some of the LEAP boys, they didn't necessarily speak with their words, but their body language spoke. And it just made me feel, because one thing that many people don't understand is, with people who have gone through trauma or are differently abled, or just the umbrella that we find within New Hope residents, you're not going to gain their trust or their respect or even just our words immediately. It's going to take time and patience. And if you're patient and if you're trustworthy, residents will pick up on that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it was just amazing. I had the best time. I love the boys over there.
They just need to feel safe like all residents do.
Absolutely.
But it is what we do on a day-to-day basis. It's the consistency that is going to transform the residents' lives. And like you said, they may not, they're going to eventually like you, and they'll eventually get to respect you. But I tell staff, don't get caught up on respect. You may be disrespected every day, or you may feel like you're disrespected every day.
That part.
But that is not where you need to put your focus.
Yes.
You just need to make sure this is a safe place for these residents to be, and you keep doing the same thing. You keep showing up, but you need to be consistent in doing it.
And a lot of the time, it's not intentional disrespect. It's protection, or just making sure I'm okay. So this is what I can give out to make sure I'm good. So yeah, once that wall comes down, it's amazing. And the staff, you already know, but just incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure. So thank you all for joining us for another episode of Hope Grown. We look forward to seeing you all again. Take care.